Some of my favorite Star Wars characters aren't necessarily the big guys up front and center like Han Solo or Boba Fett. I'm pretty partial to the weirdos hanging out in the Mos Eisley Cantina, or Jabba's Palace, or even Dexter Jettster's Diner. In my Bane Malar video, I broke down how Star Wars background extras really fall into three major categories. There's space dudes like Rumsleg, Malar, or Bo Shek. There's aliens, which is, Hammerhead, Walrus Man, Squidhead, all the classics. And then droids. Droids break down into two smaller subcategories as well. You got the more utilitarian robots, like R2-D2, other astromech droids, treadwells, anything that looks like a trash can or could serve you coffee.
Eat recycled food. It's good for you.
Now wait a minute, that's not Star Wars. Look, besides trash can robos like R2-D2, there's also androids like C-3PO, EV down in Jabba's Palace, and the B-1 battle droids that populate the battlefields of the Clone Wars.
Look, it's RB-551. No wonder he got blasted. He's one of those older models programmed by a central computer. Not us. We're independent thinkers. Roger, 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 roger.
There's also a lot of these droids making bank as bounty hunters, including Q-90, who debuted in Season 1 of The Mandalorian. Simply referred to as Zero, this 6-inch scale droid comes from the Star Wars Black Series toy line, a somewhat divisive action figure selection, as these figures prioritize scale and sculpt over posability and accessories. The toy line started out pretty rough in 2013 with limited articulation figures, but has improved with its engineering quality over the past few years. Luckily, Zero here is a droid, so he doesn't have to have an acrobatic level of articulation to still be dynamic and interesting. The figure is cast primarily in a gray metallic plastic, which is a fantastic base so that the spots of painted rust, distress, detritus, and wires pop against it. An interesting aesthetic detail with Zero is the fact that his knees and ankles are pinned with clear plastic. A very similar detail is used on the K2SO droids from Rogue One, as well as the New Republic security droids in The Mandalorian. When looking at the finer details of Zero, you can tell that he is a protocol droid at his base. This isn't too dissimilar to his contemporary bounty hunter, 4-LOM. When you compare the two, though, you can see that they are vastly different. 4-LOM is very much of the Anthony Daniels protocol droid ilk, which is to say he's very stiff and very rigid. Comparatively speaking, Zero is a lot less arthritic, and his proportions are bulked up to give him a lot more of a powerful stance and a lot less of a delicate look. Even though they're both insectoid protocol droids, 4-LOM's head sculpt and design is a lot more reminiscent of a housefly, whereas Zero's is a lot more evocative of a mantis. And despite being a droid, his articulation is shockingly dynamic and expressive. By no means is it SH Figuarts or Reveltech levels, but you can get a lot of fun and evocative poses out of him. He can be a gunslinger, he can be menacing, he can be sassy, he can do a lot. Zero's only major appearance in Star Wars is in The Mandalorian Season 1, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. Our eponymous Mandalorian has now found himself the guardian of a baby Yoda, and by hook or by crook, he's gonna get some money to take care of that little guy. So Mando meets up with one of his old biker buds from back in the day, and he accepts a 5-man mission to break out an inmate from a New Republic prison convoy. As we meet the team, we learn that Zero is going to be the driver/pilot for the getaway, and he's voiced by Richard Ayoade.
She's smooth, like ice, cold to the touch, and it isn't very nice when you left alone. Your lady treats you bad, leaves you hanging on the phone. Take off, shove your loving on the wheels, put the pedal to the floor, cause you're heading for the hills. Got to get away, can't take it no more. Man, you don't need this, leave her at the door. The door. Sanch, open the door. Open the door, Sanch.
This episode's actually got a few other recognizable character actors hiding in there, like Clancy Brown as the Devil Man,
Sponge Boy, me Bob!
and comedian Bill Burr as your cousin from Boston.
Jesus Christ. What the is that?
One of the things I like about this episode is you get little hints and details about what Mando was up to before we meet him in the events of Chapter 1. Especially with his dynamic with Jian, the Twi'lek mercenary, you get the sense that Mando was hanging out with some real scum and villainy back in the day. In some ways, I wish Mando's seedy and dirty adventures involving liars, guns, and money were explored, but it's not really relevant to the proceedings of the show. During the events of the episode, Zero does learn that Mando broke his contract by rescuing little baby Yoda, Grogu, and is now a wanted man in the galaxy. Zero tries to kidnap little baby Grogu and gets shot for his troubles. I mean, the core idea of this episode really is that Mando got up to his fair share of scummy business and wasn't always a great guy, but he's trying to do better and do better by those around him, and that includes protecting little baby Grogu from big bad droids like Zero. During the events of the episode, we see that Zero is a very frank, curt, and vexing droid, not too dissimilar to HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic. In fact, they even bear some visual similarities as well.
My response time is quicker than organics, and I'm smarter too.
Alright.
First, Master, I would appreciate it if Jedi need to be killed, that you permit me to kill those annoying pseudo-pacifists for you. But if you are...
And to that effect, Zero is a very memorable part of the episode, thanks to Richard Ayoade's performance and his very classic bounty hunter aesthetic. He's a great addition to any lineup of scum and villainy in your galactic collection.